As promised, the first day of school, a lot of word problems having to do with how many you have and the value of each. We've got some small and large pizzas. We're buying the materials and then we're selling them for a profit. So it costs $4 to make a small pizza that sells for $12, so we have an $8 profit on each pizza. For a large pizza, it's $6 cost and a $15 sale price for a $9 profit. So in 1 week, you spent $1,100 and your sales were $2,910. So the question is, how many small pizzas were sold? Let's think about this a second. You got how many different types of pizza? 2. What kind are they? So the variables we're going to use are, now the question is, the S and the L, what do they represent? Yeah, you got it, Nick. It's not the value of each small and large pizza, it's the what of the number of small and the number of large pizzas. So when you go through a problem like this, figure out what are you solving for. You're actually solving for the number. But specifically, this question is asking for the number of small pizzas. So we want to use logical variables. S is going to be the number of small pizzas, and L is what? What about the large? Number of large pizzas, okay. So the cost of the small pizzas is the value of each pizza times the number of small pizzas. And what's the cost of all the large pizzas? $6 times L, how many you have. Okay, that gave us a total cost of how much? Yeah, it's $1,100, okay. That's the cost. This $2,910 was the sale price. Before we go any further, how many variables you got? How many equations do we have so far? We only have one. Can you solve a system with only one equation? No. If you have 2 variables, you got to have how many equations? 2. Hey, when we get to 3 variables like x, y, and z, how many equations are we going to require? 3, you got it. Okay, so let's get the second equation that has to do with the 2,910, the total sales. So sales of the small is the sale price of each small, which is what? $12, and it's S of them. Okay, and then sales of the large, what's the sale price? 15, and how many L? You got it. And that's a total of 2,910. What's the lowest common multiple of the S? 12, okay. And what's the lowest common multiple of the large? 30, okay. Which one would you want to go for, the S or the L? Let me go ahead and do the S. You could do the L if you wanted to. And we'd have to multiply the 4 by what to get our 12, or in this case, negative 12? You got to multiply by what? Yeah, you got to multiply by negative 3. But you know what? There's a little trick you can use. Instead of blowing the numbers up, I wonder if we can reduce all these numbers and get this 12 down to a negative 4. What would you have to divide by? Yeah, you'd have to divide by negative 3 or multiply by a negative 1/3. So are all the terms divisible by 3? Yes. So you know what? Instead of multiplying by negative 3, let's divide this original one by negative 3. Let me say it again. Instead of multiplying this first equation by negative 3 to get the S up to negative 12, let's reduce the sales equation by dividing by negative 3 in order to get the values down to this 4 here. And because we're dividing by negative 3 or multiplying by negative 1/3, it's going to turn into a negative 4s. Okay, so here's the original equation. 12s plus 15l is equal to 2,910. We're going to multiply by negative 1/3. So this becomes a negative 4s minus, how many L? Minus 5l equals 970. Okay, this zeroes out. Remember, we're always adding the equations because we write them as opposites. And this conveniently came out to 1L, and that's 130. So L equals 130. So trick question, is the answer B? No, it's not. Why? Yes, you got it. We're asked for the number of small pizzas. Because we used logical variables, we know this stands for large pizzas. Let's think back. If we would have used X and Y, we would have got, for example, Y is equal to 130, and we would have fell for it and said, hey, it's 130, but it's wrong. Yeah, Henry. Yes, you are correct. You're thinking ahead. Because you're solving for small pizzas, if we would have eliminated the L's instead, we would have got S equals our answer. So you're right. So that's the type of thing with experience, and you see it right now. It'll save you some time. Good job. That was excellent. Okay, so we need to do this extra step now to figure out what the small pizzas are. So you can put this 130 in either equation. So let's go ahead and put it into this equation here. 4s plus 6l is equal to 1,100. And this is going to be 780. We're going to subtract. And finally, we get our small pizzas is 80. So our answer is A. And Henry, I like what you said. You're looking ahead. It would have been quicker to eliminate the L's, and you would have got S equals right off the bat. Just be careful. The question's asking for the number of small pieces sold.